So in research that I collected in Kenya and India, I have found similar patterns as globally representative data that I've collected worldwide. So what we observe is that time demands have increased during the COVID-19 pandemic, especially among employed women. So this is chores and childcare, and that these effects were relatively persistent throughout the COVID-19 lockdowns and beyond. So women are completing much more unpaid labor in terms of chores and childcare, and the amount of time that they're spending engaging in unpaid labor is having significant negative effects on subjective well-being. In one data set that I collected with informal workers living in Nairobi, Kenya, I saw that working women were doing more chores and childcare, and that this wasn't necessarily impacting their earnings relative to their male counterparts, but it was negatively impacting their subjective well-being. Women in this sample reported having less time to engage in passive leisure activities like resting and relaxing, which was undermining their self-reported satisfaction and increasing their stress. Now, I think that these additional time demands that women are facing, this has always been the case, but COVID-19 has shed light on these issues and made them something that many people are having discussions around. So one thing that I see as a positive outcome of the COVID-19 pandemic is this discussion, both in workplaces, but also among policymakers about what can we do, what systematic or systemic interventions can we provide, such as childcare, such as other kinds of time-saving services to reduce the burden of unpaid labor. In one experiment that my colleague and I recently published, we saw that alleviating time poverty among working women who are struggling to make ends meet had the same subjective well-being benefits as providing unconditional cash transfers. So providing meals and laundry services caused significant impacts in women's well-being that persisted after the interventions were removed. And these COVID-19 has shed light on and encourage discussions around the importance of reducing time constraints that disproportionately affect women as we think about remaking our models of work going forward. I think trying to understand how to alleviate time poverty, not just financial constraints, is going to be a significant conversation and is increasingly important given that these time demands have been unevenly distributed during the COVID-19 pandemic and have been exacerbated. I think in terms of what workers are motivated by, so we did run some surveys right now looking at what is predicting employee engagement, and we see unsurprisingly that engaging in meaningful work, so the idea that workers today want meaning and purpose more than before. So we've conducted longitudinal panels tracking the importance of meaning and satisfaction in jobs as compared to financial rewards, and seeing that workers increasingly want, as a function of the COVID-19 pandemic and being in this unstable environment, they increasingly want meaning and to feel like their jobs matter. So this is going to be another important area to focus on going forward. We also see, again, in light of my research, that time affluence is one of the top 3 predictors of employee engagement right now. The extent to which organizations are taking employees' time affluence seriously is a key driver of employee engagement and commitment, even more than having a boss you like or having friends at work or perceptions of fair compensation in some of the data sets that we've been collecting in North American contexts. So this is going to be another key area, again, as I mentioned. And so as we're thinking about remaking our models of work, we need to ask ourselves, what is the optimal amount of flexibility? How can we have structured conversations, very deliberate conversations about when to come into the office and why? So we've been doing a lot of research in the North American context, looking at how knowledge workers should go back to work to produce fair and equitable outcomes for workers and to capitalize on the benefits of flexibility and try to overcome some of the challenges of the last years related to time demands and stress that especially working women are facing. So I think some silver linings are to have conversations about how to imbue all jobs with a sense of meaning and purpose. It's going to be increasingly important because that's what workers want today, as well as how to provide flexibility with some constraints such that the outcomes of flexibility are equitable for all employees in an organization.